Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve Ramona and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so fired up to have you join us today. We dedicate this podcast exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. What's that purpose? Obviously, a servant's heart. Imagine how much difference and impact you make in people's lives. And I get to do it daily, and I'm doing it with my guests today, is be able to make that difference, make that impact. Just think about that. And also we motivate or design this podcast to have my guest motivate you, inspire you, and educate you to make that impact and difference we talked about. Here's your call to action today. I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and serve others today. To what impact and difference will you make? I guarantee you do that. This is a 99.9% guarantee. You'll feel good about it. And whether it's 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or 5 hours, it'll make a difference for you and obviously for the person that you're serving. And today's episode is sponsored by Pantheon Alliance. Join a community of high-income entrepreneurs and business leaders to create a world-changing thought leader platform to grow your business. And if you need more information with Pantheon Alliance, just reach out to me and I'll get you all the information. As I always say, impact and difference, what a servant's heart does. Well, talking to my guest before the show, this guy is going to rock your world. He's already rocked mine. I've only talked to him for about 5-10 minutes, but we're going to learn about holistic fitness, taking care of yourself. Like I said, serve yourself first. This is a way to do it to be able to serve others. So let's welcome to the show, Jake. Jake, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve. Appreciate it.
I've got this is a side note thing, big side note. I see your name. I think of Method Man. Isn't he a rapper or something? I think he's somebody. I just keep thinking of it. But let's jump into Morph Method. I think it's fabulous. I've been in the fitness industry for 20 years, way back in the day. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so basically Morph Method, it's an acronym. So it stands for Mindful Organized Routines Practiced Honestly in 6 Pillars of Health: hydration, sleep, nutrition, exercise, breathwork, meditation, and growth mindset. So it's basically it's a system that people can adopt to go from a sick-based type of philosophy about how they take care of themselves to a holistic wellness philosophy of how they take care of themselves.
Why would we want to do that? What's our ROI on that?
Well, I think that one of the things that is missed, I would say, in our culture is really taking care of yourself, because we kind of look at it as secondary, and as an option, when it's really our main responsibility in life. So our number one responsibility is to protect ourselves, safety, security. And if you're not doing that, then you're kind of shirking your main responsibility to yourself, and I think a lot of it is just cultural, our society, the way we're brought up, our environment. And I think that it takes sometimes a major health event for people to wake up, but I'm trying to get people to wake up before that health event happens. And, I went through my own particular challenge that woke me up. And so I think it's just something that, I'd like to just help people so my book is basically just knocking on your door saying, hey, here, think about these things. What do you think? And see if it's some way to help people.
So taking care of yourself would also mean taking care of your family, taking care of your employees, taking care of your board, taking care of your management team, across the board. Talk about how that affects that.
Well, I think in our culture, we have a tendency to label people who obsess about taking care of themselves as being selfish. it's taking away from their responsibilities to others. And it's actually the opposite of that. So the more you take care of yourself, the more of yourself you can give to others. So, if you're not healthy, if you're, anxious and you're distracted, you're only operating at about an 80%, if that. And so if you are really working on yourself and you're working on your health and you're putting your health first, then you can operate at 100%. You can give so much more. You can be a lot more productive, and you just give the whole world a lot better version of yourself.
Yeah. And to be seen. That's what you're doing,
Yeah.
Jake. And audience, that's powerful. Who doesn't want to be seen? I know you're all going to raise your hand because we do. I mean, I'm not saying seen as an ego part of it, but just, hey, here's Steve Ramona, here's Jake Platt. We're here to help, or whatever you do out there. I love that. And being seen as a better person, because of
Right.
your health. Do you have a great story of somebody you work with the Morph Method that was in business and now is succeeding because of what you did?
So many, it's hard to
Yeah.
even keep track, really. I work with people a lot of times that are just, their lives were wrecked either through, a divorce, business failure, addiction of some sort, or they just allowed themselves to just kind of fall, down a little bit too far. And so, I think that one of the things that I think is important to instill in people is that no matter how far down you go, there's a lot of magic inside of you that you can tap into to bring you right back to where you need to be and further. So, I've got a couple of people I worked with. One in particular is this lady Cindy, who went through MS. So she had her trials and tribulations trying to manage
Mm.
her MS. She had a wheelchair. She was blind for a while. She was in really, really bad shape. And, and through just a lot of practicing holistic wellness, essentially, eating single ingredient whole foods and really kind of more than anything, getting rid of the toxins in her life, relationships that were toxic, getting rid of some of the other toxins that we see in our environment, water, air, food, relationships, just you name it, there's toxins everywhere. And like I said, the more you can protect yourself from those toxins and detoxify yourself, that helps give you a edge on healing. And so I think, like that's the first thing that I helped her with was basically just, hey, let's take away these unnecessary stressors, these toxins that we bring into our life, and then let's operate from that position rather than, have these toxins in our life and try to get healthy with these toxins in our life. It's kind of like taking two steps forward and one big step backwards. So you're just kind of stuck in the mud. So I think that, you know, for me, particularly when I'm working with people such as Cindy, my first thing is like, what are you currently doing that's adding to your situation, and how can we get rid of that first? So I think that's kind of like it's more like subtraction versus adding, because a lot of people think, what additional things do I need to do in my life to get healthier? And so they start to go, oh my God, it's going to take too much work. It's going to be too much. It's like, actually, it's more like what can you take out of your life to get yourself
Yeah.
healthier?
Yeah. And you must have read my mind. It's amazing how we're lying, because I was going to ask you, people look at bodybuilders, look at marathon, very fit people and go, nope, never can do that. I don't have the time. I love that you're saying take stuff away so it gives you more time. Like, you know, somebody's drinking every Friday night, maybe do it every other Friday night. Talk about that, because in my fitness industry, that's what we try to get by is you don't need to be like that bodybuilder, but there's things you can do to change to be healthier and be better, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mindset issue.
Yeah.
Like everything is a mindset issue. So, if you are thinking negatively, if you're overwhelmed, distracted, you're in love with your current self, no matter how miserable it may be, you're going to find it hard for you to get yourself in a good place. It's going to be a lot of effort. So, I think the first thing to do is kind of eliminate poor behavior first, and so that way, like you said, it opens up opportunities, and you can fill those gaps with good habits,
Yeah.
more healthier habits. So,
And accountability is big on this. It's why you're here. And guys, reach out to Jake. We'll get all that information, because I hear people, you can't Google this, you can't YouTube this, excuse me, or Google it and go, I'm going to watch a video and I'm going to change. Talk about accountability and how you bring that into the equation.
well, you have to have, you're in your own way. Okay. So, like when people are, they don't understand that they have cognitive biases that they have trained for many, many years that keep them stuck. So, and these cognitive biases could be anything from status quo bias, where you don't want to change, everything is good the way it is, to optimism bias, where you think things are great. Oh, and so, there's always some level of cognitive bias that has infiltrated someone's mind, kind of like it's almost like brainwashing. We have a tendency to take messaging that we receive and turn that into some brainwashing loop in our minds, telling us, oh, that would be too hard, or you know what, that's going to take too long, or I could never look like that, or this or that, and we just let these loops manifest inside of us, and so I think, one of the things you want to do is you want to hire a coach or a counselor or someone who can be sort of like a third party to what you have got going on, just because it's a lot harder to see from the inside looking out than it is from the outside looking in. So you get someone that's giving you a good perspective, someone you can trust, and have them help you see things that you can't see, because cognitive biases will create a lot of blind spots in your life. And unless you have someone there that you can trust to kind of shine a light on those blind spots,
Yeah.
you're just going, a lot of times you're just going to be your worst enemy.
I love that. Blind spots is a great phrase. Audience, write that down, because we all have them. If you're
We
human, you have
do.
blind spots. And
100%.
it's so you're genius. I'm just going to say it, a genius to say, because it's a simple phrase, but it's very important. The other thing you said was messaging. And what my head went to right away was social media.
Yeah. Well,
All that
messaging
that
comes
comes in.
in. Yeah, messaging comes in all different formats.
Yeah.
And so it could be, I don't think people. I think people they underestimate, I would say, the impact of all the people they have around them, and how all the people around them actually influence their behavior and their thought patterns. And so I think that's something that a lot of people just don't understand, the power of that messaging.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times have people, want to start a business? Let's use that example on friends and family. Oh no, you shouldn't, or yeah, you should. You got, when you take advice, but make their own decision. I love that. Make your own decisions with your pillars. And I love all your pillars because they're so important. Is there one or two the more important to start with, or is it a package deal that they all need to work together?
Well, the lowest hanging fruit is hydration, right? I mean, being dehydrated can have a major impact on all of the systems of the body. So it's one of the quickest things that you can, go to and clean up quite a bit. And so, making sure you get, you're well hydrated. I'd say the next one is obviously one of the most underrated ones is breath work. Breathing doesn't take very much, just breathing in, breathing out. But if you're doing conscious breathing, it takes a lot of effort for a lot of people, especially if they've been hyperventilating for a long period of time. A lot of people, if you were to time how many times they have in and out breaths in a minute, you'll notice that a lot of the average probably are about 20 to 30, which is about 4 to 5 times what would be healthy. So they're hyperventilating without knowing, which causes inverted respiration, which causes all kinds of issues, including physical issues like lower back problems, which result into knee problems and all kinds of other type of problems, neck problems. And so you end up, just solving a lot of your problems, just focusing on things that are right in front of you, which is hydration and air. So
Yeah.
learning how to
Yeah.
breathe really well diaphragmatically and slow your breath down will help you keep your nervous system relaxed. It'll help your digestive system. It'll help you sleep better at night, help you be able to think clearer. So there's a lot of things, a lot of benefits from taking a break and working on your breathing. And of course, I add meditation to that as well, because you can, work on getting your mind in a good place. But I'd say probably the hardest one for a lot of people is going to be the other pillars. Primarily, sleep is very difficult for a lot of people. Diet, of course, as we know, that's one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
And then we have exercise, and then what rules all of those is growth mindset. So if you don't really focus on having a mind of abundance and thinking that you can have different perspectives on things, um, and try to challenge your belief systems, try to challenge the way that you think about things, and alter them on a regular basis, and reframe a lot of your thoughts that you have. I think you're going to get stuck. Because your mind has a way of wanting to create your thoughts into habits very quickly. And so, if you have an event that happened that's negative, it's very important for you to reconcile that event and get your mind working into a positive direction at all times. Otherwise, you could turn that negative event into a victimhood type of scenario where all you're doing is just thinking about how you're a victim to what went on. So
Yeah.
it's definitely growth mindset. I think is the most important one out of all of them.
And what you just said is really big. Is a lot of people like, oh, it's going to happen again. Oh, look, I lost another contract. I just can't win. You'll never win that way as an athlete or as a business person ever.
Never.
I mean, you won't. I mean, you'll be short term, but it'll fall off. A lot of coaches, business coaches, or mindset coaches talk about work-life balance. I think you'll never balance it, because I just talked to CEO a couple of months ago. He's going through a divorce. Well, his life is jumping into his work, and not in a good way, and he's got to manage it. How do you, with the with the Morph Method? I almost said Morph Method. God, dyslexic, Steve. How would that affect like that scenario, or scenarios where life gets into business, or work gets into life?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all a matter of perspective.
Hmm.
It's all a matter of time management. So being able to do work that you love to do is, I think, important in life. Now, if you find yourself not having that type of luxury, then I would say then you would want to work on making sure that your work was something that you are proud of, something that you put a lot of effort into, and that you manage really well. And so I think work-life balance is such an individual sort of thing. It's different for everyone. And what one person can think is balance, another person would be like, nope, that's not good for me. Like I know a guy who won't work more than 4 hours a week, but he's got millions in the bank, and he can afford himself that type of luxury because he put 16 hours a day in for years at a time, and now he's like, hey, I already did all of that, and so, but I think it's just a matter of seeing your life in, let's say, what is the most optimum place, and what is your priorities, and how do you prioritize this and prioritize that, and kind of is like the 4 quadrants of prioritization, is where I would say that people really need to get focused on, which is like the first one is quadrant one, where things are, extremely hectic. It's an emergency and they have to get done right away. Okay, so that would be a number one task. Number two is one that's important, but you can plan and strategically plan to get it done. That's the most optimum. And then the third quadrant is it's really not important, but it wants to get done right away. and then the other one is just not important and doesn't matter when it gets done. So I think we want to live primarily in quadrant two, but what happens is people don't plan, they don't organize their life, they don't time block effectively, and they're not putting any efforts into their organization of their schedule, to prioritize what's more important than other things. And so they end up getting themselves in situations where their spouse gets neglected, their relationships get neglected, things are, they're procrastinating on important things that have to get done. They're just not being effective, or they're being effective in one area of their life, but not being effective in all the other areas of their life. So it really does come down to, just prioritizing and being organized, which gives a lot of people freedom and comfort, when they have good organization and good prioritization. And if they don't, their lives become confusing and chaotic and disruptive. And that can cause a lot of problems for people.
It's one of the best answers I've heard about work-life balance I've heard in 600 shows. I really like that. And audience, this is where you want to hire a Jake or somebody like Jake. I suggest Jake because that's complex. It's a great answer, but it's not something, again, I can wake up tomorrow. Okay, it's January 3rd, 2025. I'm going to do this and this. It's that third party looking at, did you do this? Is this? Because I could say check, check, check. Because to-do lists to me go crazy. They don't work if you don't, because I could check them off and say, I did it. Like you said, the fourth one, I did it. I'll do it. I did it. I'll do it, whatever. But it's probably the most important. But sometimes you don't realize that. We're coming to the end here, but I'm excited to announce your new book. It's coming out, your second book. Talk about that. What's the mission of that book?
Well, it's called The Relationship Detox. And simply what it is, it's that, there's a lot of people that are suffering from toxic relationships. So, whether they're in a narcissistic abusive relationship or some form of cluster B sort of relationship with someone. And it's very disruptive, and it destroys a lot of their mindset, a lot of their health. You find a lot of people feeling like they are just, they've been victimized by it, and it lowers their self-esteem, their confidence, and of course their health takes a big hit. So I'm writing a book to help people regain their freedom so they can break away from these relationships, find their confidence again, and get their strength back.
It's a powerful book, much needed, especially after COVID. Probably part of the reason why you're writing the book is because so much, and mental health is just a huge issue right now because of COVID and everything else. Huge. Where can they get it? When's it coming out? When can they order it? And where can they get it?
Well, I'm still writing it, so
it's okay. Good. All right.
Yeah, I'm taking my time. So, but right now I'm pretty much, I'm showcasing a lot of the content on social media. So you can find it on my TikTok or my Instagram channel. You can find some short clips and discussions about it, and also my YouTube channel. So.
Beautiful. We'll put all the links in there, audience, so you can have access to it and follow his journey with his book. I love that idea. It's such a great idea. What a great book. I can't say that enough. With that being said, I like to end up with a little fun improv. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant for you, a table of 4. You're obviously going to sit in one of the chairs, and the 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite, dead or alive? Why would you invite them? And what food would we be eating?
Interesting. Well, definitely Elon Musk, I think, would be one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I just find he's just so fascinating. And then I would like to have, my grandfather who passed away. I didn't get to see him before he passed away this last year. And my mom, who I haven't seen in a couple of years. so,
Yeah.
so that would be the three.
Well, what a story. What will we be eating?
Oh, well, of course, we're going to have, all you can eat sushi. It's my favorite.
The best conversation food. Great
That's
call.
right.
Little bite. Okay, well, I want to ask you, I don't know, what a table. What a table. Family and family. This is great. You're awesome. I'm just going to say this.
Thank
This has
you.
been such a great show. I've got a whole page full of notes here, which I knew I would have. How can people connect with you and learn more about you?
Sure. Well, you can always email me, which is info@morphmethod.com, or you can just visit my website, www.morphmethod.com. And just reach me there would probably be the best way to reach me. But you can also get me on Coach Jake Platt, at Coach Jake Platt on Instagram, and at Coach Jake Platt on TikTok.
Great. We'll have all that information in the show, in the description, so you'll be able to access, or reach out to me and I'll get you connected with them pleasurably, because I think you guys need to go out and connect. And I'm going to keep saying more. Jake, welcome. And thank you again for a great
Thanks,
show.
Steve.
And audience, here's the call to action at the end. I think podcasting is a gift, and why you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you run into Jake's podcast, his show that we just recorded, and it resonates with you. Like, hey, I just talked to my cousin, man, she's struggling. Give that gift to this podcast. Let her listen and watch Jake talk about what he does and how he does it, what his goals are and his passion. And she goes and connects with Jake, and Jake helps her. And even if she just connects with Jake or learns something on the show that helps her in her life, me and Jake, I'm going to speak for Jake right now, we'd be pumped. Because if we help one person in this show, we're fired up. I know I'm fired up. So think of the podcast as a gift. And if you think that way, give out as many gifts you can. There's more great shows like this one with Jake. If there's a comment you want to leave it on the YouTube channel. This will be out today or tomorrow. And if it's for Jake, I'll make sure he gets the comment. With that being said, me and Jake want to thank you all so much for watching or listening to this podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.